Yes, for postgraduates, exam going postgraduates, never jump on a diagnosis, always assess layer by layer, and you should always ask for the background clinical information. Then we come to OCT angiography. So OCT angiography is a dialysis angiography. So here we know that it is a new non-invasive imaging modality which allows us to rapidly visualize the retinal and choroidal circulation. So how does it work? OCT angiography basically analyzes the motion of RBCs between successive OCT B scans, and thus it assesses decorrelation of signals between these successive scans. So one advantage is it is a dialysis angiography. So any the patients who have contraindication to these contrast agents, or patients where these contrast agents cannot be used, this angiography actually works. So again, yes, coming on to the working principle, it captures repeated scan at the same location at very high speed. So if you compare it from a static tissue, so whenever you image a static tissue, if you do multiple scans at the same point, every time the scan would be similar. However, any dynamic tissue, if you do multiple scans at the same time, every time the scan will have some difference. So in the eye, in the retina, the only dynamic tissue we have is the flowing RBCs. So आपने एक सेकंड पे लिया तो RBCs यहाँ है, फिर से आपने लिया तो RBCs आगे मूव हो गए. So we basically we take the signal from the flowing RBCs. And then what does the machine does? It does decorrelation signals. So between these successive scans, every time there is a different output, it decorrelates these. So it basically compares the differences in these backscattered OCT signals, and this is known as decorrelation. So like in this picture, if you see, this is sort of a static tissue. At the same point, the machine is taking repeated B scans at very, very high speed, but every time the static tissue is giving the same image display. However, in a dynamic tissue, like a moving red blood cell, which is changing, so here it will have, sort of different outputs at every scan, and the machine will decorrelate the successive scans and will give you a final output. So this is the principle of OCT angiography. So why OCT angiography? When you have FFA, so FFA it gives you beautiful pictures of retinal circulation. However, choroidal circulation cannot be very well studied. In cases of ICG, yes, you can study the both the choroidal vasculature as well as retinal vasculature, but most of the times, many of the things are superimposed on each other. So many a times it becomes difficult as to, if you have a lesion which is leaking, it becomes difficult to know what is the actual plane of the lesion. So here OCT angiography helps. Why? Because it actually segments the image. So this segmentation is done by the machine. It is preset by the manufacturer. It segments the image in a superficial capillary plexus, a deep capillary plexus. Then you have the outer retina. So outer retina does not have any vascular thing. So this normally appears black. And then the choriocapillaris. And then you have, corresponding structural B scans along with it. Then there are some OCTA algorithms, which briefly you should know. One is, and different OCT angiography machines, they are dependent on these algorithms. One is phase variance. So here what this algorithm does is that it depends on the change in the phase of the reflected light between the successive B scans. In speckle variance, it basically depends on the changes in the speckles between the successive B scans. And then there is something which is complex variance, which is a hybrid of the phase and speckle variance. Then there is something known as split spectrum amplitude decorrelation angiography. So here the OCT spectrum is split into multiple narrower bands, and the decorrelation between the different scans is computed separately and then is averaged by the machine. So here an advantage is that it improves the signal to noise ratio. However, it has a disadvantage that here the axial resolution is less. The prototype of split spectrum amplitude decorrelation angiography is AngioView by Optoview. Then the second algorithm is Octara, which is OCT angiography ratio analysis. So here the OCT spectrum is not sort of divided, it is not split. The full spectrum is used, and here the axial resolution is good. The prototype is Triton OCT, swept source OCT by Triton. And then the third, which depends on the complex variants, is OMAG or optical microangiography. And here the Zeiss machine, the Angioplex, uses this sort of technology. So coming on to the differences between conventional angiography and Octa, one is something which is related to contrast agent. So we're using contrast agent in both the FFA and the ICG angiography. No contrast is required in Octa. So the side effects related to contrast will not be present in Octa. The contraindications because of the contrast will not be there. When we take an FA, the image is processed over some minutes. So it takes, say, around at least 10 minutes. However, in OCT, the angiograms are obtained within seconds. OCT does not identify leakage from the vessel. So one good thing is there is no leakage. So there will not be any masking from the leakage of the background structures. In angiography, one good thing is that you could actually see the patterns of leakage, staining, and pooling, which cannot be visible by OCTA. However, then there is the downside also. Whenever there is dye leakage, there could be masking of the background structures in FA. Then in angiography, if you use ultra wide angiography, which is the Optos, you could image up to 200 degrees of the retina. However, the maximum scans in an Octa which you can take is 12 into 12 mm scan, which also can be taken only by a swept source OCT angiography. So these are some differences which you should know. So here the OCT angiography softwares mostly allow a 3 into 3 mm scan, a 4.4 and 4.5 into 4.5 mm scan, or a 12 into 12 mm scan. So obviously, smaller the scans, the better will be the resolution. So even very minute pathologies will be picked up. And the larger scans are used for studying the extrafoveal pathologies or extramacular pathologies. So whenever you come to the interpretation of OCT angiography, you have these ENFAS images, जो different segmentation levels पे हैं. Then you have the B scans of the OCT, and then the B scan shows a flow signal overlay. तो उसमें आपको red color का overlay मिलेगा. So always when you see the ENFAS images, you should correlate with the B scan flow signal overlay. So like in this picture, you have these 4 segmentation layers: superficial capillary plexus, deep capillary plexus, then the outer retina, then the choriocapillaris. Then you have a structural B scan, and you have these overlays of the flow signals. So यहाँ पे ये जो red है, this is showing flow beneath the pigment epithelial detachment. So this reddish thing also is showing flow. So you always have to see, if you see a white lesion, now in OCT, if you see more bright or white lesion, it means it has some more flow characteristic. And if you see a black lesion, mostly it is a hypoflow or flow void areas. So you should always compare. अगर आपको ऐसा white area मिल रहा है, तो again you should not jump कि it is a choroidal neovascular membrane. You should always see with the structural scan and the flow overlay to see whether it has flow also or not. And then of course you would correlate it with the clinical picture. So these are the ENFAS images, and this is the flow signal overlay. And okay, it also gives you a sort of composite superimposed image. Now, OCTA has many artifacts which we should know. Some of the artifacts are very common, like a motion artifact. So any motion other than the movement of the RBCs will produce motion artifacts. So patient movements, even microsaccades of the eyes, breathing of the patient, tremors of the patient, and these are seen in the OCT image as bright white lines. So this is known as white line artifact. So अगर ऐसे white line artifact आ रहे हैं, तो the OCTA angiography machine has some softwares which can automatically correct, or sometimes you have to manually correct these artifacts. So these white line artifacts are because of the motion. Then you have something which is known as stretch artifact. So if you see in this first picture, you see that the images appear stretched. So why does this happen? This happens because the software tries to correct the motion artifact. It produces another artifact, which is a stretch artifact. Then if in the right picture you see कि ये जो vessels हैं, there is all doubling of the vessels. So this doubling of the vessel artifact is also because of the software trying to correct the motion artifact. It produces another artifact. So these stretch artifacts and doubling of vessels artifact is produced due to the software which tries to correct the motion artifact. Then there is something which is displacement artifact. So again, it happens because of motion. So here what happens is the final image, it is sort of composed of 2 images which are discontinuous and they are distant. So these are not very important artifacts. Then one important artifact is a masking artifact. So in patients with media opacities like cataracts or vitreous opacities, or if you are trying to study the deeper slab or deeper segmentation slab and with some overlying, for example, an overlying pigment epithelial detachment or fluid in any of these layers or blood in any of these layers, it could mask the flow signals from the deeper layers. So like this is an example here. The patient has a neurosensory detachment. So this is a case of CSCR. If we take, this is the NFOS image of the choriocapillaris segmentation slab. So here it is showing all black. So this black is not the flow void. So this is not a choriocapillaris ischemia. It is probably because of the masking of these overlying structures. इसलिए आपने again इसको देख के ये नहीं बता देना कि यहाँ पे blood flow नहीं कर रहा है. You should always correlate with the clinical picture and also the B scans and the flow overlay on the B scan. Then one very, very important artifact is projection artifact. This we should understand. So we know that it is, the Octa scan is actually studying the movement of the RBCs. But when we know whenever the light passes through any tissue, not all the light is reflected back. Some of the light goes deeper down, so it is transmitted. And if you have a hyper-reflective layer beneath her, for example, RPE. So RPE is very, very highly reflective. So ये जो light है, ये RBCs से transmit होके नीचे RPE में गई and RPE ने उसको वापस से reflect किया. So what happened is, if we take a segmentation slab at this level, we will see the, the movement of the RBCs, or we'll see the motion in the resulting image. But if we take a segmentation slab at the lower level, यहाँ पर blood vessels नहीं है, यहाँ पर आपका RBCs move नहीं कर रहा है, but still you are seeing some, sort of flow, then this is a projection artifact. So this is sort of a mirror artifact. For example, in this picture, this is the superficial capillary plexus. So we know that yes, the retinal vessels are there, but if we see the outer retina, we are seeing the retinal vessels here also. But we know कि यहाँ पे तो कोई retinal vessels नहीं होते हैं. So why in the outer retinal segmentation slab you are seeing the vessels? It is just a projection of the superficial layer here. So now the machine needs to correct this thing. So it can be, this artifacts can either be removed by the software, or sometimes the machine have, a function switch which you can remove these artifacts. So you should always know what are projection artifacts here. Again, now you should always correlate the NFAS scans with the structural B scan. So here you see that there is a PD in the B scan. And if you see the outer scan, outer layer, you see a PD. यहाँ पे भी PD है, but उसके अंदर एक flow और एक hyperflow sort of area मिल रहा है. So what is it? Is it a choroidal neovascular membrane inside the PD? You should then go to your B scan and see whether there is any flow signal. So if you see here, यहाँ पे कोई flow signal नहीं है. So this is more or less sort of some artifact. So this is not a choroidal neovascular membrane here. So इसलिए you should always correlate and you should know about some artifact. Coming on to the clinical applications, first is wet ARMD. OCT angiography में you could see these networks beautifully. So how do these networks appear? They appear like there is sort of, a vessel, and from these vessels, multiple radiating branches appear. So it is like branches from a tree. If the feeder vessel is in the center, then you call it a medusa head appearance. If the feeder vessel is at the edge of this vascular network, we call it a C-fan appearance. Third is, which is sort of indistinct network. आपको यहाँ पे feeder vessel नहीं मिल रहा है. Last is pruned tree. So what is pruning? Pruning is जैसे tree की branches हम cut कर देते हैं. So here what happens is, ये जो इतने ज़्यादा anastomotic channels एक normal आपको neovascular membrane में मिलते हैं, वो नहीं मिल रहे हैं. So this is sort of a mature membrane. So here the CNV is inactive. So when you keep on injecting, when you keep on giving anti-VEGFs, आपका जो membrane होता है, जो network होता है, it becomes quiescent or inactive and it appears like a pruned tree appearance. So network will always remain on an OCT angiography. It will not go. However, you don't need to treat such networks because they are inactive. So this is just an example of a pruned tree network. अगर आप यहाँ देखोगे तो ये network के खूब सारे branches नहीं हैं. And if you also correlate with the structural B scan, you see that there is hardly or minimal fluid in the B scan. Then RAP RAP is again, it is an intraretinal neovascularization. So RAP में आपको एक बहुत अच्छा सा sort of high flow area मिलेगा in the deeper capillary plexus. So this indicates that yes, it is an intraretinal vascularization. Then other CNVM, so secondary CNVM, especially myopia associated CNVM. So what happens is myopia में a patient can present with subretinal hemorrhage. Now this can be either because of a lacquer crack. If it is because of a lacquer crack, you need to just observe the patient. This subretinal hemorrhage could be because of a choroidal neovascular membrane. In that case, you need to treat the patient. So what happens is in an FA, if the subretinal hemorrhage is more, a deeper choroidal neovascular membrane could be masked. But in cases of OCTA, normally it has more sensitivity of picking such networks. So in high myopia, it helps for picking a choroidal neovascular membrane. Similarly, in a CSCR with secondary CNVM, if you do a FA में CSR में भी आपको early choroidal phase में leak मिलेगा, CNVM में भी early choroidal phase में leak मिलेगा. So sometimes you get confused whether the leak is because of CSCR per se or CNVM. So here an OCTA will help you a lot, because if there is a secondary CNVM, it will show you a network in the outer slabs. Then in diabetic retinopathy, the OCT angiography, it helps us. It tells us about any enlarged foveal avascular zone, CNP areas, and it even tells you about any neovascularization in the disc or elsewhere. So like this is the second picture is an angiographic picture of a PDR patient. Here we see NVs and we see neovascularization of the disc. The lower picture is an OCTA image. If you see the capillary dropout areas beautifully. So even though you have not injected a dye, it is a non-invasive procedure, but आपको CNP areas दिख रहे हैं. And if you see these areas, यहाँ पर आपको एक possible network दिख रहा है, which is sort of a neovascularization, and somewhere here also. So you can fairly, with good sensitivity, detect networks and capillary non-perfusion areas in patients with proliferative diabetic retinopathy. Then again, when we come to FAS, अगर आपको fluorescein angiography में पढ़ना है, so then you have a required time. In the later phases, sometimes the FAS is obscured by leakage occurring in the macular area. So यहाँ पर OCTA में there is no concept of leakage. So a FAS is always very well studied in both the superficial capillary plexus and deeper capillary plexus. Then similarly, in retinal vascular disorders, you can identify the areas of capillary non-perfusion, and you could study the morphology and structure of the foveal avascular zone. Then a little bit about posterior uveitis and white dot syndrome. So here it is a case of serpiginous choroiditis. If we do an OCTA and we see the deeper slabs, the choriocapillary slabs, there is hypoflow area or black area. So this is a flow void area. So this basically indicates that the primary pathology in serpiginous choroiditis is at the level of choriocapillaris. Then yes, one very important indication for doing an OCT angiography is a macular telangiectasia or parafoveal telangiectasia. So parafoveal telangiectasia में क्या होता है? It is an idiopathic acquired disorder जिसमें perifoveal, mainly the temporal foveal capillaries, they show dilatation and ectasia. So if you do an FA in parafoveal telangiectasia, it normally shows staining of these perifoveal capillaries. Now sometimes parafoveal telangiectasia may be complicated by a CNVM. उसमें साथ में patient को CNVM भी हो जाता है. So FA becomes very difficult to distinguish between staining of this telangiectasia and the leakage of CNVM. So here also in a patient with PFT, अगर patient आया कि sudden onset उसको metamorphopsia हो गया या diminution of vision हो गया and clinically you are suspecting CNVM, then if you have an OCTA, it will help you. OCTA will show you a network in the outer layers. So this is again, now if we see here, this is basically a case of parafoveal telangiectasia. Outer ये जो slab है, this is normal. Outer retina का slab, choriocapillaris segmentation slab again is normal. But if we see in the deeper plexus, you see a sort of, sort of a network. So this is not a choroidal neovascular membrane. This is just a PFT or a parafoveal telangiectasia. So these are telangiectatic ectatic vessels. So OCTA parafoveal telangiectasia को भी पकड़ता है and उसमें जो secondary CNVM हो रहा है उसको भी पकड़ता है. But yes, obviously this OCTA also comes with certain limitations. One is limited field of view. The maximum field of view which you can get is 12 into 12 millimeter. However, new softwares are coming up which are actually including montaging of these things in order to increase the field of view. then there is a preset level by the machine that it will read only that flow. So some lesions with very low flow or very high flow could also be altogether missed on an Okta. And it has a very steep learning curve because of the multiple artifacts. Even I am not very clear seeing OCT images, OCTA images, and especially when you don't have the machine, so it is not very easy. So one thing is, no single imaging modality should be used in isolation. You should always be having a clinical correlation along with other imaging modalities if you have. So yes, so I end the Okta presentation here. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am,
हाँ जी बोलो.
मैम एक बस बेसिक क्वेश्चन है मैम, वो सर ने पूछा था लास्ट टाइम, मतलब
हाँ.
ओसीटी से रिलेटेड मैम. मैम वो ये है कि अभी आपने बोला था कि हमें एक स्कैन देख के कभी भी ये डायग्नोज नहीं करना चाहिए कि ये रेटिनल डिटैचमेंट है या सीएसआर है. तो मैम मतलब बेसिक क्वेश्चन ये है कि ऐसे हम क्या पॉइंट्स बोलें कि हम मतलब कि स्कैन एकदम करेक्ट लिया हुआ है. मैम जैसे सर ने पूछा था कि स्कैन करेक्ट है कि नहीं, ये कैसे पता चलेगा तुमको?
Correct है कि नहीं? So see, we need to know, we need to have a clinical picture and we need to know where the lesion is. So is the scan going through that lesion or not? Then अगर आपको जैसे वो CSR वाला मिलेगा तो आपने सिर्फ उसका clinical findings बताना है कि okay, the vitreous is okay, the vitreoretinal interface is normal, and you see a hyporeflective space in the subretinal area, so in between the neurosensory retina and the RP. So it could probably be this thing. ऐसे करके आपने आंसर देना है. Probably it could be CSCR. However, I would want to have the clinical picture of the patient if possible. So examiner might give you, might not give you. फिर हो सकता है आपका वाइवा CSR पे चला जाए. हो सकता है वो पूछ ले कि इसके और इस सिमिलर पिक्चर के और डिफरेंशियल डायग्नोसिस क्या हो सकते हैं. मतलब I don't know if your question is something else, but जितना मुझे समझ आया.
नहीं, दूसरा ये है कि यदि सेंट्रल लीजन है तो इट शुड गो थ्रू फोविया. तो वो फोवियल, हाँ, तो इसलिए यदि सेंट्रल रीजन में तुमने पेरिफेरी से ले लिया तो देन द ओसीटी, देन दैट विल नॉट शो एनी पिक्चर, दैट विल नॉट शो एनी लीजन. सो यदि सेंट्रल सीरियस रेटिनोपैथी है, इफ यू गो थ्रू द सेंट्रल एरिया वेयर द फोविया इज देयर, फोवियल कंटूर तुम्हारे को दिख जाएगा. तुम ये भी देख सकोगे कि भी नेजल साइड पे जो रेटिनल नर्व फाइबर लेयर है वो थिकन्ड है, उससे तुम वो भी डायग्नोज कर सकते हो. तो पर यदि लीजन पेरिफेरल है तो फिर तुम्हारे को एक दो पिक्चर चाहिए, एक तो फंडस पिक्चर और दूसरी पिक्चर ऑफ द ओसीटी, और उसमें स्कैन तुम्हारा रास्टर स्कैन कहाँ से गया है, ठीक है ना. तो वो तुम्हारे को उससे ओसीटी की पिक्चर पे पता लग जाएगा भी कहाँ से निकला है. यदि तो वो लीजन के बीच में से निकला है तो दैट मीन्स द लीजन मस्ट बी शोन देयर इन ओसीटी. एंड इफ द लीजन इज इन द अपर टेम्पोरल एरिया एंड योर रास्टर स्कैन इज शोइंग द passage of the scan through the inferior area, so that will show normal. ठीक है. तो इसलिए दोनों चीजें चाहिए. Charu has rightly pointed out, with one scan only you cannot say that it's normal. ठीक है ना. तो यदि तुम्हारे पास फंडस पिक्चर सामने है और दूसरा स्कैन सामने है, देन स्कैन की भी तुम्हारे को पता लग गई अभी ये कहाँ से पास कर रहा है, then you should give your decision.
ठीक है सर. यस, यही था सर बस मेरा.
ताकि मैम जो ओसीटी में जो मैम हम वहाँ पे मैम जो उसका थिकनेस कंपेयर करते हैं मैम, जैसे कि तो वी कंपेयर, जैसे कि हमें अगर मैकुला का करना है तो जैसे कि मैकुला का थिकनेस करना है, देन सम मैकुला के कुछ बाहर के सेक्शन से करके, लाइक आई हैड रेड समथिंग लाइक दैट कि वो कंपेरेटिव होती है जो ओसीटी में थिकनेस होती है.
वो तो दोनों आईज की लोगे ना
सर, मतलब रीजन वाइज सर, जैसे कि इफ इट्स लाइक अगर ग्लोकोमा का डैमेज है, जैसे कि हम नर्व फाइबर लेयर का डिस्क का ले रहा है, सो इट इज कंपेयर्ड विद सर की कुछ और रीजन ऑफ द रेटिना का कंपेयर करते हैं, ऐसे टाइप एक बार पढ़ा था। तो ऐसा होता है कि वी आर एक्चुअली टेकिंग द रीडिंग एट दैट पर्टिकुलर प्लेस की वो या कंपेरेटिव होती है।
ये मुझे
रेंज में होता है ना वो, तो
समझ आ रहा है क्या कह रही है?
नहीं सर, मुझे मतलब उसका क्वेश्चन नहीं समझ आया।
क्वेश्चन ही नहीं समझ आ रहा
कि
तो कैसे कंपैरेटिव कह रहे हैं?
लेकिन ग्लोकोमा सर की एडवांस केसेस ऑफ ग्लोकोमा में it might not show thinning because the macula will also be thinned out. तो
नहीं, मैकुला की अलग होती हैं और रेटिनल नर्व फाइबर लेयर की थिकनेस अलग होती है। वो तो तुम्हारे को एब्सोल्यूट वैल्यूज जो कंपैरेटिव वैल्यूज तो ओसीटी देता ही है, तो तुम्हारे को वो कलर कोडिंग से पता लग जाएगा भी मैकुला की थिनिंग है या थिकनिंग है, या इसी रेटिनल नर्व फाइबर लेयर की थिनिंग है या थिकनिंग है। रेटिनल नर्व फाइबर लेयर यदि थिनिंग होगी तो कैसी दिखेगी? व्हाट कलर विल यू सी?
सर कूलर मतलब जो इसके कूलर कलर्स हो जाएंगे थिकनिंग में वो।
सो इट इज ब्लू।
यस सर।
तो रेटिनल थिनिंग जो ना नर्व फाइबर लेयर की थिनिंग जो है ना वो ब्लू होगी। और यदि मैकुला में तुम्हारे को गैंग्लियन सेल लेयर थिनिंग होगी तो
उसमें रेड
गैंग्लियन सेल लेयर भी तो थिनिंग हो सकती है ना उसमें भी। तो जब तुम आईपीएल गैंग्लियन सेल लेयर थिनिंग या थिकनिंग देखते हो तो वो उसमें क्या कलर होता है? यदि थिन हो गया, ज्यादातर थिन ही होगा ना, जैसे मैकुलर डिजेनरेशन वगैरह है, या इवन ग्लोकोमा में भी थिनिंग हो जाती है, ऑप्टिक एट्रोफी में भी थिनिंग हो जाती है। तो उसमें क्या होगा? यदि थिनिंग होगी तो कौन सा कलर? आदित्य
सर
Ritika, is there or not?
मैकुला पे शायद से रेड होता है थिनिंग पे
है। हाँ बताओ क्या क्या?
रेड दिखाता है सर।
हाँ, so it is other way around. So in thinning of the ganglion cell layer, it will be red. ठीक है, वो थिनिंग वैसे तो उसमें ग्राफ आएगा ना, तो उसी में से भी पता लग जाएगा।
TSNIT।
हाँ TSNIT।
अच्छा वो वाला, ठीक है सर। यस सर, गॉट इट सर। उसमें जो एक RNFL एलिवेशन सॉरी डेविएशन